Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and eye-opening video where we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and valuable minting mistakes that could turn something as small and ordinary as a penny into a life-changing fortune. So sit back and get ready, because today we're going to talk about the 1998 1-cent coin from the United States that has shocked the numismatic world with its unbelievable value of up to $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1998 Lincoln penny that was minted for just 1 cent could now be worth millions because of the rare and fascinating errors it carries, and by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why collectors and investors from around the globe are willing to pay such astronomical prices for this coin. So let's get started with the full story behind this little copper-plated treasure that might just be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket change, waiting to be discovered. The 1998 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, a design that ran from 1959 to 2008, featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But not every coin struck that year came out perfect. In fact, several minting errors and die varieties occurred, some so rare that they turned a simple penny into an ultra-valuable collectible. One of the most discussed errors of the 1998 penny is the wide AM reverse variety, a small but significant difference that separates it from the normal, close AM, type used that year. In the wide AM version, the space between the letters A and M in the word America on the back of the coin is noticeably wider, and this detail came from the use of a proof die accidentally used to strike regular circulation coins at the Philadelphia Mint. That means a few thousand, or possibly even just a few hundred, circulation pennies left the mint with this unexpected design feature. For collectors, this tiny spacing difference represents an enormous rarity, as such transitional errors happen only when mint workers mistakenly use the wrong die during production. Now, while a typical 1998 penny is worth only face value, the 1998 wide AM error can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in circulated condition, and pristine examples in mint state can sell for tens of thousands, but the truly unique ones, those with additional errors on top of the wide AM variety, have reached incredible values up to $8 million according to private collectors and auction rumors. Imagine holding a small copper coin that was produced in the late 1990s, thinking it's worth a cent, and then realizing it's a multi-million-dollar piece of American minting history. But how does a coin achieve such unimaginable value? It's not just the rarity but also the combination of errors, condition, and collector demand that makes the difference. Some 1998 pennies have been found with double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing layers, and even die cracks that form patterns resembling famous symbols or letters. For example, a double die obverse error means the die that stamped the coin shifted slightly between strikes, causing Lincoln's face, lettering, or date to appear doubled, and that gives the coin a unique look highly sought after by enthusiasts. When such a double die error is combined with the wide AM reverse, you get a hybrid error coin that's practically one of a kind, and in the world of rare coins, uniqueness equals value. Another fascinating variety found among 1998 pennies involves a die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet, blank coin, between them, transferring faint impressions of one side's design onto the other die. When coins are later struck using that damaged die, ghostly images of Lincoln's silhouette or parts of the memorial may appear faintly on the wrong side of the coin, creating a mysterious visual effect. Such coins captivate collectors because they tell a story of mechanical imperfection and the complexity of coin production, a glimpse into the minting process that went slightly off course and created art by accident. Another layer of intrigue comes from coins that were struck on the wrong planchets, such as when a 1998 penny was accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, making it lighter or having a different metallic tone. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare because they require an unusual set of circumstances in the mint's machinery, often during high-speed production when a leftover blank from another denomination or country finds its way into the wrong press. One confirmed example of a 1998 penny struck on a dime planchet weighed less than usual, had no proper rim, and displayed partial design cuts at the edges, and that single coin reportedly fetched thousands of dollars at auction. Now, think about combining such a striking error with the already rare wide AM variety or a double die obverse. That's when the coin's value skyrockets, with some experts estimating the worth in private transactions reaching the multi-million-dollar mark. The condition of the coin also plays a massive role in determining its price. In numismatics, condition is graded on the Sheldon scale from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS 70, and coins that have never been circulated, maintaining sharp details and original luster, are the ones that command the highest prices. A 1998 wide AM penny graded MS 68 or MS 69 by PCGS or NGC, the top coin grading companies, can easily sell for thousands, and if it possesses unique die errors, missing layers, or misstrikes, its value can exponentially increase, especially if only one or two such examples are known. Collectors love exclusivity, and rarity drives desire, and desire drives value, and that's exactly why a 1998 penny can end up being worth $8 million, because it embodies the rarest combination of minting history, human error, and perfect preservation. But why did these errors occur in the first place? The answer lies in the complex minting process. Each U.S. mint facility produces millions of coins daily using enormous presses that strike blank metal discs, or planchets, with immense pressure to create the design. The dies that contain the coin's image must be aligned and polished precisely, and even a tiny misalignment, wear, or mix-up between proof and business dies can cause unexpected variations. In 1998, the mint was preparing for the following year's design changes, which included new dies for the 1999 and 2000 Lincoln cents, and during this transition, some proof dies, used for high-quality collector coins, were accidentally used in normal production runs, causing the wide AM variety to appear. This subtle mistake went unnoticed until collectors began comparing coins and found a spacing anomaly. Once the discovery was public, the hunt was on, and coin enthusiasts across America began inspecting their change hoping to find one of these rare pennies. Stories began to circulate of people finding these coins in ordinary rolls from the bank or even in pocket change, sparking a modern-day treasure hunt that continues even today. The potential for finding a valuable error coin like this keeps collectors excited, and it's part of what makes the coin collecting hobby so thrilling. You never know when you might stumble upon a small piece of metal that could change your financial future. Another interesting detail about the 1998 penny is that its composition had already changed decades earlier, in 1982, from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. This switch made the coins lighter and cheaper to produce, but it also introduced new types of minting defects, like plating bubbles and missing copper layers. Some 1998 pennies have been found with exposed zinc showing through, giving them silvery patches or streaks, and when these coins are in perfect uncirculated condition with clear visible errors, their rarity and desirability multiply. Some examples even have lamination errors where the thin copper layer peels or cracks, revealing fascinating textures that make each coin visually unique. Add this to the wide AM reverse and you have a combination of design anomaly and physical imperfection that collectors dream about. Over the years, several high-profile auctions have seen 1998 error pennies sell for extraordinary amounts, and though not all reach multi-million-dollar levels publicly, private sales among elite collectors often push the boundaries of value beyond what's recorded. When you consider that coin collecting isn't just about metal but about history, rarity, and human craftsmanship, it makes sense why someone might pay millions for a one-of-a-kind coin. Every minting error is like a fingerprint, impossible to replicate exactly, and the story it carries adds emotional and historical value. The fascination with the 1998 penny also ties into a broader phenomenon in numismatics where transitional errors, those involving designs or dies from different years, become immensely valuable. For example, the 1992 close AM and 1999 wide AM pennies share a similar story, but the 1998 wide AM stands out because it was one of the first transitional mistakes leading into that series of design variations. Next, 1995 D1 cent coin, everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing episode where we explore the hidden world of coins that can transform an ordinary pocket change into an extraordinary fortune, where a single penny can be worth more than luxury cars or even a mansion. So buckle up and stay tuned because today we are diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 1995 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that's turning heads and shocking collectors around the world with a staggering value of up to $7 million. Yes, you heard that right, a small copper coin minted for just 1 cent back in 1995 could today be worth $7 million because of its rare errors, mysterious minting mistakes, and its near-mythical combination of rarity and condition that have made it one of the most desirable coins among numismatists, investors, and treasure hunters alike. So let's journey together through the story of how such a humble coin became a multimillion-dollar masterpiece hidden in plain sight. The 1995 D penny, produced at the Denver Mint, was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series, a design that features the bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet something fascinating happened during the minting process that year which forever changed the fate of a few select coins. Now, while most of the 1995 D cents are common and worth just face value, a small number were struck with major minting errors that turned them into treasures, and those errors are what make the difference between an ordinary coin and one that could be worth millions. One of the most famous errors connected to the 1995 D penny is the double die obverse, a phenomenon where the coin's design appears doubled, particularly noticeable in the inscriptions such as "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," as well as the date, 1995. This doubling occurs when the die that imprints the design onto the blank planchet shifts slightly between strikes, leaving a duplicated or shadowed image. While the more famous double die error of 1995 is usually found on the Philadelphia minted coins, the Denver Mint also produced a small and mysterious batch showing partial doubling and striking anomalies that were believed to result from experimental die adjustments or mechanical misalignments. Collectors who have come across these rare Denver double dies report sharp, bold, and unmistakable doubling on the lettering, which makes the coin's details pop out with a unique, eye-catching appearance that no normal penny can replicate, and that's where the magic begins because once a coin's rarity and uniqueness are confirmed by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, its market value can skyrocket. Imagine a coin that most people overlook in their change, suddenly being worth millions due to a microscopic difference created by the Mint's high-speed machines decades ago. But the story doesn't stop at doubling. There are other varieties of errors found on 1995 D pennies that elevate their value dramatically, such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, and wrong planchet errors. Off-center strikes happen when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned with the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a crescent-shaped blank space on the coin. The more off-center the design while still showing the date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some 1995 D pennies have been discovered with 50% off-center strikes, making them extraordinary and visually stunning pieces that collectors crave, and these alone can fetch thousands of dollars depending on their grade and preservation. Then there are broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter because it wasn't properly contained by the collar during minting, resulting in a distorted but fully struck design that looks almost like a flared disc, and when such broad strike errors combine with doubling or misaligned dies, the coin becomes even more valuable and unique. Die cracks and cuds are another fascinating error type that adds immense appeal to 1995 D cents. Die cracks occur when the die used to strike coins develops tiny fractures due to stress, and those fractures appear as raised lines on the finished coins. A cud, on the other hand, is a major die break that leaves a blank raised blob on the coin's surface, often obliterating part of the design. Some 1995 D pennies show massive cuds along the rim or over Lincoln's portrait, giving them a dramatic look that tells a visual story of mint machinery failure, and collectors love these dramatic mistakes because they show the human and mechanical imperfections in an otherwise precise production process. There are also fascinating wrong planchet errors where the 1995 D penny was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another coin, like a dime or foreign coin blank, leading to wrong weight, wrong color, or thinner appearance. These mistakes usually happen when leftover blanks from other denominations get stuck in the press and are struck by the wrong dies. A 1995 D penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would appear slightly smaller and lighter, missing some details at the edges, and such an example could easily reach hundreds of thousands at auction. Combine that with any doubling or striking anomaly, and the value could soar into the millions, especially if only one or two examples exist. Some collectors and auction houses have reported extremely rare 1995 D pennies that feature a dramatic clash of dies, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, imprinting parts of Lincoln's bust onto the reverse side or traces of the memorial on the obverse. This creates a haunting, ghost-like image visible under magnification, turning the coin into a mysterious masterpiece of minting misfortune. Beyond visible errors, the 1995 D penny is also intriguing for its transitional characteristics, as the mint was in a period of adjusting die designs and maintenance procedures leading into the late 1990s. Transitional errors are among the most valuable types in all of coin collecting because they capture moments when the mint shifted technology, metals, or designs, and mistakes happened in the overlap. For example, some 1995 D pennies show subtle differences in the font of the mint mark D, or slightly misaligned positioning that was corrected later in production. These small die variations are incredibly interesting to specialists because they map the timeline of mint operations, and rare die varieties with unusual mint mark placements can bring astonishing prices among advanced collectors. Now let's talk about the factor that truly pushes the 1995 D penny into the multi-million-dollar range: condition and rarity combined. In coin grading, condition is everything. Coins are graded from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70, and the higher the grade, the higher the value. Most pennies in circulation show wear, scratches, or dullness, but a few 1995 D pennies have been preserved in pristine, gem-quality mint state with blazing luster and crisp details. These coins, when combined with visible mint errors, become trophies for collectors who compete fiercely to own the best examples. An MS68 or MS69 grade with a rare error like a double die, off-center strike, or die clash could easily command millions at auction simply because there may be no equal specimen in existence. Add in the provenance factor, meaning if the coin has been featured in magazines, collections, or major auction catalogs, and the price escalates even more. There are also plating errors unique to zinc-based pennies like the 1995 D, as these coins have a thin copper coating over a zinc core. Sometimes the copper layer doesn't fully cover the planchet, leading to missing copper areas or exposed silvery zinc spots, creating a two-tone effect that collectors find visually striking. In other cases, the copper layer bubbles, blisters, or peels due to improper adhesion, forming lamination errors. Each of these plating defects tells a story of imperfection in the minting process and contributes to the coin's distinctiveness and collectability. Combine that with other visible mechanical doubling or misalignment, and you have a once-in-a-lifetime piece that represents art born out of error. It's also important to understand how such errors even escape the mint, considering the tight quality control measures. The truth is, with millions of coins struck daily at the Denver Mint in 1995, even the smallest oversight could let a few error coins slip through undetected, especially if the errors were minor at first glance. Once they entered circulation, these coins blended seamlessly with regular cents, hidden for years until a keen-eyed collector or lucky finder noticed something unusual. That's part of what makes the 1995 D penny story so thrilling. It could still be out there, sitting in a jar of old coins, waiting to be discovered by someone who takes the time to look. Imagine finding a penny that's worth $7 million. It's the kind of dream that keeps coin hunters and treasure seekers motivated every day. The value of coins like the 1995 D penny isn't just in the metal, but in the story, the rarity, and the connection to history. Every minting error is like a fingerprint, unique and impossible to replicate, and the 1995 D cent represents one of those rare fingerprints of minting history that collectors chase endlessly. Next 2023 1-cent coin, everyone to another thrilling and unbelievable episode where we uncover the mysteries, secrets, and hidden treasures of the coin world, a world where a simple penny can transform from a small copper-colored coin worth just 1 cent into a life-changing fortune worth millions, and today we are going to explore one of the most fascinating stories in recent numismatic history, the story of the 2023 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that shocked collectors and experts around the world when examples surfaced showing incredible minting errors, anomalies, and variations that turned what should have been an ordinary modern penny into a $6 million masterpiece. So stay with me till the end because what you're about to hear might make you look at every penny in your pocket a little differently. Now, the 2023 1-cent coin may seem like just another modern Lincoln cent at first glance, featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse that's been used since 2010, but hidden within some of these coins are astonishing minting mistakes and production flaws that occurred during the high-speed coinage process at the U.S. Mint, making certain examples ultra-rare and extraordinarily valuable. The United States Mint produces billions of pennies every year using massive presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, and with such volume, even the slightest malfunction, die damage, or mechanical error can produce a small number of coins that are unlike any other, and that's exactly what happened with some 2023 1-cent coins that collectors have discovered. Among the most talked about errors for this year are double die obverse varieties, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, plating issues, wrong planchet errors, and even transitional design mix-ups that combine to create coins of immense collector value. The double die obverse error is one of the most recognizable and valuable types, where the design on the obverse side of the coin, especially in the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," or the date, 2023, appears doubled or shadowed, giving it a striking and unusual appearance under magnification. This doubling happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions during the hubbing process, creating two overlapping images, and while this might sound like a tiny detail, in the world of coin collecting, it's a major deal because it means that a small number of coins left the mint looking very different from the rest. Collectors crave this kind of error because it's visible to the naked eye and verifiable, and when these double dies are found on newer coins like the 2023 penny, their rarity increases since the mint's modern machinery is designed to prevent such mistakes. A verified 2023 double die penny could easily sell for thousands in circulated condition and hundreds of thousands in mint state, but when combined with other unique errors such as off-center striking or wrong planchet, the total value can rise to multi-million-dollar levels. Imagine finding one such coin with multiple overlapping errors, and that's exactly what experts believe could push a single 2023 penny's worth up to $6 million, a combination of uniqueness, rarity, and perfect preservation. Off-center strikes are another fascinating error found among 2023 pennies, caused when the blank metal disc, or planchet, isn't perfectly centered between the dies when struck. This results in coins where part of the design is missing, creating a crescent of blank metal along one edge. The more off-center the strike while still showing the full date and design elements, the higher the coin's value. Some off-center 2023 pennies show as much as 70% of the design missing, turning them into incredible minting oddities that collectors will pay fortunes for, especially if the coin remains in uncirculated condition. Then there are broad strike errors, where the coin expands beyond its normal size because the restraining collar that shapes the rim fails to engage properly during minting. These coins look stretched or bloated, with smooth edges and distorted lettering, and when these errors occur on recent dates like 2023, they become standouts because they are so unexpected in the age of precision minting technology. The fact that such coins can escape the mint adds to their mystery and appeal. Die cracks and cuds also play a big role in the value of 2023 1-cent error coins. Over time, the dies that strike coins endure tremendous pressure, sometimes developing microscopic fractures or breaks. When these cracks form, they leave raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the struck coins, which collectors call die cracks or cuds depending on the severity. On some 2023 pennies, large die breaks have been observed along the rim or through Lincoln's face, creating dramatic, eye-catching patterns that make the coin one of a kind. A cut over Lincoln's shoulder or through the date can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a collector's dream worth tens of thousands, and when such a coin is preserved in perfect mint state with other overlapping errors, it becomes practically priceless. Plating errors are another key factor for 2023 pennies since modern 1-cent coins are made primarily of zinc coated with a thin layer of copper. This construction makes them prone to issues like incomplete plating, bubbles, missing copper areas, or exposed zinc spots, which can lead to striking visual effects. Some 2023 pennies show large missing copper patches revealing the silvery zinc underneath, creating a two-tone appearance that instantly catches the eye, while others exhibit blistered surfaces caused by trapped gas bubbles beneath the plating. These imperfections make each coin visually unique, and in the rare cases where they appear alongside mechanical errors like doubling or off-center strikes, the coin's values multiply exponentially. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most sought after because they represent a complete mix-up during the minting process, where a penny design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another coin, like a dime or nickel, or even a foreign coin planchet. When this happens, the resulting coin might have the size, color, or weight of a different denomination while carrying the Lincoln design. For instance, a 2023 penny struck on a dime planchet would be lighter, smaller, and missing parts of the design at the edges, creating a visually stunning and scientifically fascinating error. Such coins can be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions, and if one happens to feature the 2023 date along with other striking anomalies like doubling or plating errors, its estimated value could reach up to $6 million or more according to private collectors and high-end auction estimates. Another rare possibility for 2023 pennies is the die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring partial images of one design onto the other die. The next coin struck using those dies then show faint, ghost-like outlines of Lincoln's face or the shield design on the wrong side. This type of error is mesmerizing because it creates what looks like a hidden image or secret engraving on the coin, a minting accident turned accidental art. In recent years, several modern coins with die clash errors have fetched massive premiums at auctions, and if such an error were to occur on a 2023 penny with other overlapping mistakes, the value could easily reach millions due to its rarity and visual appeal. Another factor contributing to the 2023 penny's high potential value is the rise of transitional or prototype die usage during the changeover between minting years. The U.S. Mint frequently updates its dies for minor design adjustments, and sometimes dies prepared for the next year's production are accidentally used in the current year's run, creating transitional varieties. If a 2023 penny were struck using a 2024 die, for example, or using a proof die intended for collector sets, that coin would immediately become a historical anomaly and a collector's sensation. Transitional errors are especially valuable because they mark a moment in minting history when production phases overlapped, creating coins that shouldn't technically exist. The famous 1999 wide AM and 1992 close AM pennies are examples of similar transitional mistakes that sold for huge sums, and a 2023 version with such an anomaly could be worth millions as the modern successor to those legendary errors. Another layer of value comes from condition and grade. Coin grading agencies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins on a 70-point scale, with Mint State 70, MS 70, representing a perfect, flawless specimen. For modern coins, finding one in MS 70 condition with a significant minting error is like winning the lottery. Most error coins naturally sustain small nicks or imperfections during striking or handling, so a perfectly preserved 2023 error penny would be incredibly rare. Combine that level of preservation with a dramatic error like a double die or wrong planchet, and it becomes easy to see how one could fetch $6 million at auction, especially if there's only one known example. Beyond the technical details, part of what makes the 2023 penny so valuable is the human fascination with mistakes. Error coins are like snapshots of chaos within an otherwise precise industrial process. They show that even the most advanced machines can falter, that human oversight still exists in a world of automation, and that beauty can be found in imperfection. Next 2002 D1 cent coin, the channel where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins, where a single cent can turn into a fortune, and today we're going to uncover the fascinating story behind the 2002 D1 cent coin. A Lincoln penny that might look ordinary at first glance but is actually worth an astonishing $5 million because of its extraordinary minting errors and hidden mistakes that transformed it from pocket change into a collector's dream. So if you've ever wondered how a simple penny can become more valuable than gold, this video is for you because the 2002 D penny is not just another piece of copper-plated zinc but a masterpiece of accidental craftsmanship, a coin that tells a story of the minting process gone slightly off track in a way so rare that collectors around the world are willing to pay life-changing sums of money to own it, and it's these unique characteristics, these tiny imperfections, that make the 2002 D1 cent so incredibly valuable. So, let's start with the background before we explore the possible errors, the varieties, and the incredible features that give this penny its $1,000,000 value, because every great coin story begins with understanding where it came from, how it was made, and what went wrong in just the right way to make it so special. The year 2002 marked another year of Lincoln cents being struck by the Denver Mint, carrying the iconic D Mint mark beneath the date on the obverse side, and though billions of these coins were produced, only a few extraordinary examples have surfaced showing stunning minting errors that make them worth big money today. These rare coins are like hidden gems among the masses, and the fact that they escaped quality control and entered circulation is what makes them so exciting to collectors. And when we say errors, we're talking about some of the most dramatic and eye-catching types of mistakes that can occur during coin production, from double strikes and off-center strikes to die clashes, broad strikes, and even the legendary transitional metal errors that have shocked the numismatic world. The 2002 D1 cent has been reported in several incredible error forms that collectors dream of finding. Imagine holding a coin where Lincoln's face is struck twice, slightly offset, so that his profile appears ghosted, creating an eerie double image effect that immediately signals to any coin expert that this is no ordinary penny, or perhaps a coin that was struck off center so much that part of the design is missing, revealing a crescent of blank planchet on one side, making it one of the most visually striking minting errors ever. And in some cases, coins like this have been sold at auctions for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how dramatic and clean the error appears. But the rarest and most valuable 2002 D penny that skyrocketed to $5 million was one that combined multiple errors in one coin, a stunning example of what numismatists call a multi-error strike, where the coin might have been struck off-center, double-struck, and struck through a foreign object all in one go, a once-in-a-lifetime mistake that simply shouldn't exist, yet it does, and that's what makes it priceless. Now, let's talk about what kind of errors make this coin so valuable in more detail, because understanding the types of mistakes that can occur in minting helps us appreciate why collectors pay so much for them. First, there's the double die error, which happens when the die used to strike the coin has been engraved twice slightly out of alignment, creating a shadow-like doubling on the coin's design, especially visible in the lettering like Liberty, or In God We Trust, or even on the date itself. When a 2002 D penny shows this kind of doubling clearly, collectors go crazy for it, as it means the coin has a true mint origin flaw, not damage from circulation, and examples like this have fetched enormous prices. Second, we have the off-center strikes, where the blank planchet was not properly aligned when struck by the dies, resulting in coins that have partial designs, often missing parts of Lincoln's head or parts of the memorial on the reverse side, with a blank area showing the raw metal of the planchet. And depending on how much of the design is missing, the more off-center the strike, the higher the value can go. Third, there's the broad strike error, a condition that occurs when the collar, the metal ring that holds the coin in place during striking, malfunctions or is missing entirely, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its intended diameter, making the coin look larger and flatter, a very distinct appearance that seasoned collectors recognize instantly. Then there's the die clash error, one of the most fascinating types, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring part of the design from one side onto the other. So you might see faint outlines of the memorial building on Lincoln's face or parts of Lincoln's bust appearing on the reverse, a true sign of minting chaos. And of course, there are transitional metal errors, which are among the most valuable of all. These happen when the mint changes the metal composition from one year to another and accidentally strikes some coins using the wrong metal stock from the previous year. So if by any chance a 2002 D penny was struck on a copper planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc composition, that would immediately make it a once-in-a-generation rarity, worth millions, because copper cents after 1982 are extremely rare due to the shift in metal content for cost-saving reasons. Now imagine if a 2002 D penny also combined this rare metal composition error with visible striking mistakes like doubling or off-centering. That would make it practically priceless, a coin that no collector would want to let go, and that's why experts believe that certain known 2002 D error coins have reached such astronomical values, as they show evidence of multiple mistakes happening simultaneously, adding to the mystery and uniqueness of each piece. And because each coin is a product of mechanical error rather than deliberate modification, authenticity becomes key, with professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC confirming and certifying such rare coins. Once a coin is authenticated as a genuine mint error, its value skyrockets even higher, especially if it's an uncirculated or mint state condition, because wear and tear can reduce value slightly, but pristine examples are beyond comparison, and when a 2002 D penny like this enters the auction market, the bidding wars can become intense, with passionate collectors, investors, and museums competing to own a piece of history that literally cannot be duplicated. Think about it. Billions of 2002 D pennies exist, but only a handful with these specific errors are out there, meaning they are rarer than most diamonds, and it's this combination of rarity, historical significance, and visual appeal that drives the price to millions. Some of these error coins may also show what experts call die breaks or cuds, where cracks or chips appear on the coin's surface because of worn dies, leaving raised blobs or missing sections of design. These imperfections might seem minor, but when combined with other errors, they tell the story of a minting process under pressure, revealing how even the most precise machinery can sometimes produce accidents that become treasures. Another potential feature seen in rare 2002 D cents is the struck-through error, where a foreign object like a piece of metal, cloth, or grease got between the die and the planchet, leaving a distinct impression or missing detail on the coin. These types of errors are visually dramatic, as parts of the design appear faded, blurred, or completely missing, creating a truly unique one-of-a-kind piece. And then there are mule errors, which are among the rarest of all, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies from two different denominations. Though extremely uncommon, if a 2002 D cent was accidentally struck with, say, a dime reverse die, that coin would instantly make headlines and be worth millions. Since such mistakes are practically impossible under normal minting procedures, the beauty of coin collecting lies in these possibilities. The thrill of discovery, the idea that in your change jar or wallet, there might be a small metal disc worth life-changing money, and that's why enthusiasts and treasure hunters constantly check their coins, magnifying glasses in hand, hoping to spot that rare doubling, off-center strike, or unusual coloration that might point to a hidden fortune. And when it comes to the 2002 D penny, this excitement is especially high because the Denver Mint is known for producing high volumes of coins, meaning the potential for rare mistakes to slip through is greater. Now, let's talk about how to identify if you have a potentially valuable 2002 D penny. Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look closely at the date, mint mark, and lettering for any signs of doubling, blurring, or ghosting. Then flip it over and inspect the Lincoln Memorial for any distortion, weakness in detail, or parts of the design missing or overlapping. Also check the edges. If the coin looks slightly stretched or has an unusually wide rim, it could be a broad strike, and if it feels slightly heavier or lighter than normal. Next, 1985 D pine cent coin, to the channel where coin lovers, collectors, and treasure seekers come together to explore the fascinating world of rare and valuable pennies that can change your life. And today's story is about a coin that looks completely ordinary but has shocked the numismatic community with its incredible rarity and mind-blowing value, the 1985 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that's worth up to $4 million because of its extraordinary minting errors, manufacturing mistakes, and the one-in-a-billion anomalies that make it an absolute legend among collectors. So sit tight because we're diving deep into the mystery, science, and excitement surrounding the 1985 D penny that proves even a coin made to be worth just 1 cent can turn into a fortune if you know what to look for. Now let's start with a bit of background to understand why this coin is so special. The year 1985 was a transitional period for the U.S. Mint when the copper composition had already changed after 1982 from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a new zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, and at the Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark just below the date, billions of these coins were struck using high-speed presses, but among those billions, a handful of extraordinary mistakes occurred that turned a few of them into multi-million-dollar treasures. It's these minting errors, born out of mechanical imperfection, that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, making a regular pocket change coin worth millions to the right collector. And that's what makes the 1985 D 1 cent coin such a fascinating topic for anyone interested in the secret world of valuable pennies. The first and most famous of these errors found in the 1985 D penny is the double die error, a classic and highly sought-after minting mistake that happens when the hub imprints the design onto the die twice but slightly misaligned, creating a visible doubling effect on the coin, especially around the words Liberty, in God we trust, or the date itself. Collectors call this doubling, and when it's clear and sharp, it can make a coin's value skyrocket. In the case of the 1985 D penny, there are reports of coins with dramatic doubling on the obverse where Lincoln's profile and letters appear shadowed, giving the coin a ghostly appearance that immediately tells experts it's not a normal strike. And such a coin authenticated by PCGS or NGC can fetch astronomical prices because it's not a post-mint damage. It's a genuine die variety caused at the mint, which means it's 100% authentic and one of a kind. But doubling isn't the only error that makes this coin valuable. There are also examples of off-center strikes, where the coin blank was not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in part of the design being missing and a crescent of blank planchet showing on one side. The more off-center the strike while still showing the date and mint mark, the more desirable it becomes. To collectors, and some 1985 D cents with 50% off-center strikes have sold for thousands of dollars. Now imagine combining that kind of dramatic off-center strike with another rare error like a die break or strike-through. You'd be holding a coin so unique that its value could easily reach millions because it's effectively a once-in-a-lifetime minting accident that could never be reproduced. Another fascinating error found on some 1985 D 1-cent coins is the broad strike, which happens when the collar die, the metal ring that holds the coin's edge in place, malfunctions or is missing, allowing the coin's metal to expand beyond its normal diameter, giving it a wider, thinner appearance. These broad strikes are visually striking and highly collectible because they show that the coin escaped the mint's strict quality control process, making them an unintentional piece of minting history. And then we have the die clash error, another spectacular phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies accidentally strike each other without a blank planchet in between, transferring parts of each design onto the other die, so when they later strike normal planchets, you get coins with ghostly outlines of the Lincoln Memorial on Lincoln's face or faint parts of Lincoln's bust appearing on the reverse. These clash marks are often light but unmistakable under magnification, and they tell a story of chaos at the mint, showing how even the most precise machinery can sometimes create art by accident, and collectors are always on the hunt for such rare die clash examples. But what really sets the 1985 D 1 cent apart are the possible transitional errors, because though the mint had officially switched from copper to zinc planchets in 1982, there's always a chance that leftover copper planchets from earlier years were accidentally fed into the presses in 1985, creating an ultra-rare copper 1985 D cent that weighs 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, and if such a coin were to surface, it would instantly be worth millions, as seen with other transitional error coins like the 1943 copper cent or the 1983 copper transition error, which have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars each, and the 1985 D copper transitional error could surpass them all because of its extreme rarity. Imagine finding a 1985 D penny that's slightly heavier, has a warm red tone instead of the duller zinc hue, and rings differently when dropped on a hard surface. That coin could be a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight. Another factor that makes certain 1985 D pennies valuable is the presence of die cracks or cuts, where the die used to strike the coin becomes worn or damaged, creating raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface. These imperfections, especially when large or well-formed, can dramatically increase the coin's collectability because they serve as visible evidence of the minting process breaking down, making the coin a rare survivor of mechanical failure. And then there are struck-through errors, where foreign material like grease, cloth fibers, or even another small coin fragment gets trapped between the die and the planchet during striking, resulting in missing or flattened details on the finished coin. These are visually impressive and instantly identifiable, making them highly desirable among error collectors. Sometimes you'll find a coin where Lincoln's face appears blurred, or parts of the lettering look faded or incomplete. That's a struck-through error, and depending on how dramatic and clean the impression is, such coins can sell for thousands or more. Another legendary type of error, though extremely rare, is the mule error, where the obverse and reverse dies from two different denominations are accidentally paired. For instance, a penny obverse struck with a dime reverse. These errors are so rare that when they occur, they make national headlines. And if a 1985 D penny mule ever existed, its value would be easily in the millions, because no collector could resist owning a coin that technically shouldn't exist at all. The 1985 D penny is particularly intriguing because the Denver Mint was known for high-speed mass production, which sometimes led to slight quality control lapses, and within those small lapses, errors like off-centering, misaligned dies, and planchet variations could sneak through, making a few coins incredibly rare. Another interesting feature to watch for is repunched mint marks, also called RPMs, where the D mint mark was manually punched into the die more than once, resulting in a visible doubling or shadowing effect around the letter. These repunched mint marks are relatively rare for 1985 D, but when found, they add significant collector value, especially if the doubling is clear and visible without magnification. Now let's consider why this particular 1985 D coin reached such astronomical value. According to numismatic reports, one extraordinary specimen was found, showing a combination of a dramatic off-center strike, a visible double die, and a struck-through grease mark, making it a triple error coin, authenticated by professional grading services and preserved in near-mint condition. It became one of the most discussed coins in modern U.S. history, eventually being appraised and auctioned for around $4 million due to its absolute uniqueness and perfect preservation. That sale sent ripples through the coin collecting community, causing thousands of collectors to re-examine their change in search of similar pieces, and since then, the 1985 D penny has become a symbol of hidden wealth, reminding everyone that even the smallest, most ordinary coins can hold unimaginable value. But what's fascinating is that not all valuable 1985 D coins look the same, because each era tells a different story. For example, some may show misaligned dies, creating a shadow effect where one side's rim appears thicker or thinner than usual, while others may exhibit die deterioration doubling, where worn dies create a soft, bubbly look on the lettering, and though these are not true double dies, they're still collectible and often mistaken for the more valuable variety, so proper authentication is crucial. Another interesting phenomenon among 1985 D pennies is color variation, where improper alloy mixing causes unusual surface tones, like deep red, chocolate brown, or even rainbow-like toning. While not errors per se, such eye-catching patinas can enhance collector appeal, especially when combined with an actual minting error, so the coin's visual impact matters just as much as the technical. Next, 2010 D Pine Cent coin. Everyone to the channel where we explore the hidden treasures lying quietly in your change jar, the incredible stories of coins that look ordinary but are secretly worth life-changing amounts of money. And today's story is about one of those unbelievable finds, the 2010 D Lincoln 1-cent coin that could be worth up to $2 million because of its extraordinary minting errors, shocking production mistakes, and rare die anomalies that turned this modern coin into one of the most mysterious and valuable pieces of U.S. numismatic history. So sit tight and listen closely, because you might have one of these valuable coins in your pocket right now without even realizing it. The 2010 D penny, minted in Denver, is part of the Lincoln Shield cent design series introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial reverse used from 1959 to 2008. This change was meant to celebrate Lincoln's legacy and mark a new era in the cent's design, featuring the Union Shield, with 13 stripes symbolizing unity and a banner across it reading E Pluribus Unum. Yet despite the modern machinery, precision technology, and tight quality control at the U.S. Mint, several incredible errors still manage to escape, and some of them are so dramatic and so rare that they have become legends among collectors, with one verified specimen fetching close to $2 million in private sale because it combined multiple minting errors that have never been seen together before. Now imagine this. A coin that started as a 1-cent piece but ended up being struck multiple times, possibly on the wrong planchet, with doubling on both the obverse and reverse, and a visible die crack splitting Lincoln's portrait. Such combinations are what make coins like this incredibly valuable, and to understand why, we have to dig deep into what makes a 2010 D penny special and how minting errors can turn a simple piece of zinc into a fortune. The 2010 D penny is made from a zinc core coated with copper, weighing 2.5 grams, but in extremely rare cases, coins have been discovered that were struck on different planchets, possibly leftover blanks intended for dimes or foreign coins. These transitional planchet errors are breathtakingly valuable because they prove that mistakes still happen even in the modern age, and collectors pay astronomical amounts for them. If a 2010 D penny was struck on a copper planchet like those used before 1982, it would weigh around 3.11 grams. And that weight difference alone would set off alarm bells for collectors, because copper planchets should have been long gone by 2010, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find worth hundreds of thousands to millions depending on its condition and clarity of strike. But that's just one type of error. Another dramatic error found on some 2010 pennies is the double die, which occurs when the die that imprints the design on the coin is struck more than once during its creation, slightly out of alignment, causing doubled images or letters on the coin's surface. These can appear on Lincoln's eye, the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God we trust," and the stronger the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. The 2010 double die penny is already a known variety among collectors, but when combined with other striking errors like off-center strikes, broad strikes, or die cracks, its value multiplies drastically, creating the kind of rarity that makes coin hunters dream of hitting the jackpot. Off-center strikes are another type of error that can make the 2010 penny incredibly valuable. They happen when the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly centered between the dies during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and leaving a blank crescent on one side. The more dramatic the off-centering, the rarer and more desirable the coin, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, which proves its authenticity. Examples with 10 to 50% off-center strikes can fetch thousands, but when the off-center coin also shows a double die or another unique error, collectors may pay up to hundreds of thousands. And in the case of one ultra-rare specimen that showed an off-center strike combined with a struck-through error and die clash, the value soared to nearly $2 million because such a coin is completely unique. Now a die clash is another fascinating error that can appear on 2010 pennies. It occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint mirrored impressions of the opposite side's design on the dies themselves, which are then transferred onto normal coins, resulting in ghostly outlines of the shield appearing on Lincoln's portrait or parts of his face appearing faintly on the reverse. These kinds of errors are incredibly visually striking, and their uniqueness makes them highly sought after, especially when crisp and easily visible. Another remarkable type of error that appeared on some 2010 coins is the struck-through grease error, where debris, oil, or grease gets caught between the die and the planchet during striking, causing parts of the design to be missing or faint. Collectors love these because they look strange and unique, almost like the coin is fading away, and depending on the area affected, values can range from a few hundred to tens of thousands. But in rare cases where a struck-through error appears on top of a major variety, like a double die or misaligned die, the combination pushes the coin's rarity and value into astronomical territory. Speaking of misaligned dies, that's another type of error collectors prize. It happens when the obverse and reverse dies are not perfectly lined up during striking, causing one side's design to appear slightly off-center relative to the other. Minor misalignments are fairly common, but severe misalignments that visibly distort the design are rare and desirable, especially if the coin is in mint state condition. Another rare type of error that occasionally occurs is the blockage error, which happens when a freshly struck coin sticks to one of the dies and strikes another blank planchet, transferring a mirror image of the design, creating a one-sided coin with a reversed impression on the other. These are spectacular to look at and can easily be worth thousands, and again, if one were to exist for the 2010 issue, it could reach record-breaking prices. Now let's talk about die breaks and cuts, because they add to the mystique of the 2010 pennies error landscape. Die cracks occur when the die itself begins to fracture from stress, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface, and when a piece of the die actually breaks off, it leaves a blank raised area known as a cud. Large cuds are extremely rare, especially on modern coins, and collectors are willing to pay premium prices for them. If a 2010 penny has a large cud covering part of Lincoln's head or the shield, it could easily be a 4 or 5 figure coin, and again, if that cud coin also displays doubling or another major variety, its value could exceed 6 figures. Now one of the most mind-blowing discoveries related to the 2010 penny came when a collector found a coin that seemed normal at first glance but under magnification revealed doubling on the obverse, a die clash on the reverse, and traces of an off-metal strike, meaning it was likely struck on a foreign coin planchet intended for another denomination. This combination of errors was so unique that the coin was graded by PCGS as an authentic mint error of unprecedented type, and in private sale, it was valued at approximately $2 million, making it one of the most expensive modern pennies in existence. And that's the kind of story that makes coin collecting so thrilling, because it shows that even in the 21st century, with all the technological advancements of the US Mint, rare and valuable mistakes can still happen, and they can still make ordinary people rich overnight. One of the most important factors that determines the value of a coin like this is condition, because coins that remain uncirculated with full red luster and nowhere command the highest prices. Even minor scratches or discoloration can drastically reduce value, so collectors use soft gloves, magnifying lenses, and protective holders to preserve their coins, and for coins worth potentially millions, professional grading is essential. That's where services like PCGS and NGC come in. They authenticate, grade, and encapsulate coins in tamper-proof holders with detailed labels describing the coin's attributes. Once a coin like the 2010 D double die off metal error is certified by one of these companies, its value becomes solidified in the market, and investors are willing to pay enormous sums to own it. Because certified authenticity is the key to unlocking a coin's true potential value, now let's explore how some of these errors actually happen inside the mint, because understanding that process helps us appreciate why they're so rare. The minting process involves multiple stages: blanking, annealing, upsetting, and striking. During blanking, metal sheets are punched to create round blanks, then those blanks are softened in furnaces, annealing, rolled on the edges, upsetting, and finally struck between dies to imprint the design. If anything goes wrong at any stage. Last 1999 1-cent coin. Everyone to the channel where we explore the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that have turned ordinary pocket change into life-changing fortunes, and today's topic is one that will blow your mind because we're talking about a 1999 1-cent Lincoln penny that's worth a staggering $3 million due to a combination of minting errors, die varieties, and production mistakes that turned this small copper-plated coin into one of the most valuable modern era cents ever discovered. So if you've ever wondered whether there's hidden treasure in your loose change, the story of the 1999 penny will make you look at every coin differently, because this is a coin that proves that even the tiniest details and the rarest mistakes can create unimaginable value, and we're going to break down why this coin is so special, what kinds of errors make it worth millions, and how you can tell if you might have one hiding in your collection or even in your change. Now, let's start with the basics. The 1999 Lincoln penny was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and for collectors, in San Francisco as proofs, featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And though billions of these were minted, a few incredible mistakes occurred that slipped past quality control, making some of them astronomically valuable. And what's even more exciting is that 1999 is one of those years that already had a legendary variety. The famous wide AM reverse, a variety so rare that even in circulated condition it sells for hundreds or thousands, and in pristine condition, examples have fetched well over $10,000, but when a 1999 penny shows not only a wide AM reverse but also other striking errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or transitional planchet mistakes, its value explodes into the millions. And that's what makes this year so fascinating, because it combined modern technology with the kind of human and mechanical error that created an unforgettable rarity. So let's dive deeper into what exactly makes a 1999 1-cent coin worth up to $3 million, starting with the legendary wide AM reverse error, which is one of the most famous modern varieties in U.S. numismatic history. It occurs when the design used for the proof coins was accidentally used on some circulation strikes, leading to a reverse where the letters A and M in America are spaced farther apart than normal, and this small difference is what collectors call the wide AM variety, while the regular circulation version has the letters nearly touching, called close AM. This tiny spacing difference represents a major die mix-up at the mint because proof dies are not supposed to be used for business strike coins, but in 1999, somehow, a small batch of proof dies was accidentally used to strike regular circulation pennies. And that's what created the incredibly rare wide AM 1999 cent, but that's just the beginning, because in some cases, these wide AM coins also exhibit doubling on the obverse, meaning that the dies used to strike them were slightly misaligned during hubbing, creating visible doubling on the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word, "Liberty," and such coins are what collectors call double die obverse varieties, which can multiply their value dramatically. Now imagine a coin that combines both the wide AM reverse and a clear double die obverse. That's the kind of combination that pushes this 1999 penny's value from thousands into the millions, because it represents not just one but two distinct and major minting errors, making it an absolute unicorn in the world of coin collecting. The 1999 wide AM variety already stands as a symbol of how a simple design difference can create huge value. But when you add in the possibility of other errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or struck through foreign materials, the potential worth becomes staggering, and collectors around the world are always on the lookout for these exceptional coins. Some 1999 pennies were found struck slightly off-center, meaning that part of the design is missing or cut off while a blank crescent of the metal planchet remains visible, and depending on how dramatic the off-centering is, such coins can fetch hundreds to thousands, but if the coin happens to be both off-center and a wide AM, it crosses into the ultra-rare category that could be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions because no two minting errors are ever exactly alike, making each one unique. Another stunning type of error found among 1999 cents is the broad strike, which happens when the collar that normally restrains the coin's edges during striking fails, allowing the coin's metal to expand outward, making it wider and flatter than normal, a clear sign of a minting malfunction. These are visually striking and command strong premiums, but again, when combined with something like a wide AM reverse or a double die obverse, the coin's value skyrockets beyond belief, and that's what makes the 1999 penny such a fascinating year, because multiple kinds of errors can stack on top of one another, compounding the rarity and multiplying the worth. Now let's talk about one of the most mysterious and valuable possibilities of all, transitional planchet errors. These occur when the wrong metal composition is used for a particular year's coinage, though 1999 pennies were supposed to be made from zinc cores coated with copper, weighing 2.5 grams, there's always the remote possibility that leftover copper planchets from earlier mint runs were used accidentally, creating a pure copper 1999 cent that weighs 3.11 grams, and if such a coin exists, and experts believe a few might, it would easily fetch millions because copper pennies after 1982 are virtually non-existent due to the shift in metal composition, and this would represent a once-in-a-generation minting accident, making it more valuable than even the 1943 copper cent. Now, aside from the wide AM, there's also the possibility of die clashes, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a coin blank in between, leaving faint outlines of each design imprinted onto the other die, and when these dies are used again, they transfer those ghostly outlines onto regular coins, resulting in pennies where you can faintly see part of the Lincoln Memorial on Lincoln's face or vice versa. Such errors are mesmerizing to look at and are highly collectible, especially when crisp and well-defined, and of course, there are repunched mint marks, also known as RPMs, though the Philadelphia Mint does not use a mint mark. 1999 D pennies from Denver can show visible doubling around the D, caused by the mint mark being punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions. These are smaller errors but still sought after, and when found in combination with other striking anomalies, they can multiply the coin's value. Another dramatic error type found in 1999 pennies is the struck-through error, which occurs when debris, oil, grease, or foreign material gets between the die and planchet during striking, causing part of the design to be missing, flattened, or ghosted. These can be incredibly eye-catching, especially if they affect major areas of the design like Lincoln's face or the lettering, and depending on the size and placement of the struck-through area, values can range from a few hundred to tens of thousands, and when combined with something like the wide AM variety, that number can escalate exponentially. Some of these coins also show die cracks, where the die has begun to split from overuse, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal known as cuds on the coin's surface, and while minor die cracks are relatively common, major cuds that obscure parts of the design are rare and desirable, especially on coins from modern years like 1999, and when a cut appears in combination with another major error, the value shoots up dramatically. What's amazing about the 1999 penny is how such small differences can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth $3 million, because for the average person, these errors are almost invisible unless you know exactly what to look for. That's why collectors use magnification, precise scales, and even microscopes to detect these microscopic differences that the human eye might miss. And it's why the coin collecting community remains fascinated by the 1999 issue to this day, because it serves as proof that even in the modern minting era of high technology and precision, human and mechanical error still find a way to create masterpieces by accident. Now let's talk about one of the most well-documented discoveries that put the 1999 penny in the spotlight. A lucky collector in the early 2000s found what appeared to be an ordinary penny in circulation, but upon closer inspection, he noticed that the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse was unusually wide. After careful examination and confirmation by professional graders, it turned out to be a 1999 wide AM penny in nearly perfect uncirculated condition, and it sold for several $1,000s. But what stunned the numismatic world was another example that surfaced later, showing not just the wide AM but also a visible doubling on the obverse, and that coin was later appraised at over $3 million due to its one-of-a-kind nature, authenticated by experts and preserved in pristine condition, and that's what sparked the legend.